Alright everybody, is the Bitcoin price ready for a massive crash to the downside? As you guys know, I'm still up here, a massive amount of money here, about 420,000 US dollar here. I'm still in a long position, as you guys can actually see. Yes, the Bitcoin price had a mover to the downside, but I personally believe that it is very likely that the Bitcoin price is going to recover here very soon back to the upside. Now, there are a couple warning signs, which I want to talk about here in this video, but we're still on uptrend, and I'm not going to fight against this trend that has been going on here for basically the last 2 years. As you guys know, I still have a target here at a very, very high level here of 200,000 US dollar this cycle. More about that later. I'm going to exactly tell you guys my strategy for this cycle. But so far, what we can actually see here is that we are currently touching the 7 hour here on my own personal indicator. This is called the Team Underground Magic Hour sideband. So I have a link in the description if you actually want to open it as well. What you can actually see is that every single time when we got over here, when we touched here the 7 hour, we always had a significant move to the upside. And generally speaking, during a bull run, like for example, as you can see over here, you always get a bounce here from this exact trend line. It's absolutely brilliant for scalping. I think if we're going to get a strong bounce here from this level, I still think we can get a little bit of a continuation to the upside. I mean, a lot of this was kind of like low volume, kind of a low volume continuation. And I generally think we're not going to see anything absolutely crazy in terms of bullish price action. I think it's probably going to start happening a little bit after the summer. If I can actually remember back in 2020, we had a summer that was very, very boring at that point in time. And I can kind of remember that every single time that we have a summer, I don't know, people go outside, they go to the beach, they don't really care about Bitcoin. And I think that's the reason the Bitcoin price tends to have a little bit of low volume. But I still think we're going to continue. At least for this Bitcoin position, I have a stop loss here if we actually go to this level. My Ethereum position is still inside a massive profit, as you guys can actually see here. It's still up here about 330,000 US dollars. So in totally, I went in with about 100,000, and this is currently up here about 320,000 US dollar. Even if the price goes a little bit down for Ethereum, I mean, I think this thing is the bottom, and I don't think this is going to go lower. So now, as you guys actually know, I am currently again in a new different country. I do again use trading to make money. It's pretty clear, straightforward. I do not want to just gamble on these altcoins. I generally just tend to leverage trade on these type of platforms. In terms of giving you guys free stuff, as you guys should always know, you always can get a good promotion, a good deal that I actually give you guys here in the link in the description. If you actually sign up here with Blofin non-KYC exchange, you get 50% on your first deposit. So if you have any money on a big exchange, just temporarily move it to Blofin, claim that 15% deposit bonus, throw out a big trade, and then you can just have a free trade completely for free. Again, link in the description. I always try to give you guys the best deals here. Many people have actually taken this. There's only just a couple days left until this ends, until August 6th. So if you have any money on a big exchange, get it on Blofin, get a big trade, and if you don't like the platform, just withdraw it. But you can just literally get free money here just by signing up and depositing. So many people, again, taking advantage of it. It will end very, very soon. So I am going to just tell you guys that if you want to take advantage, just do it absolutely now at this point in time. Anyway, going back here to the Bitcoin price, we got over here, touch the 7 hour here on my indicator. I think we're going to get a bounce here like we've seen in the past. If we don't, my Ethereum position is still going to be fine. Bitcoin position, I don't think we're going to get stopped out. I think it's just going to be a little bit more sideways action during the whole summer until this thing eventually is going to recover somewhere around fall. So, yeah, it is what it is, but I don't think massive crash is going to come or anything like that. Things look fine. I mean, we do have a little bit of a CME gap, if you want to talk about that, like somewhere here at the bottom. Oh, yeah, right here. We have a CME gap right over here that we actually filled. So hypothetically, maybe that was kind of why we dumped, and now we're going to go back to the upside. So let's actually see what's going to play out. But for now, these trades that I have they look completely safe. So it's just, even if we have a bit of a liquidity wick, I still think we're eventually going to move to the upside. Just let the market do its thing. I'm completely fine. I can just chill and make money. I don't have to necessarily try to manage this or anything like that. We can wait out, and let's actually see what's going to happen. Now, I do actually want to talk about my long-term strategy. There was a comment, like in last video, someone said, Thomas, I think you've lost your mind. Anything like that, because I said the Bitcoin price is boring. And I think generally speaking, it is a little bit boring now, but I actually think that this is actually the time to make money. If I remember, I made videos here about 3 years ago during the bottoming of the bear market. I also said it's a little boring, but that's actually when the money is actually made, is paying attention to the cycles and actually understanding how they play out. And when eventually your price target does get hit, you don't just completely stress out and you don't know what you want to do. Just take these times to kind of plan out your strategy. And so one of the strategies I'm just going to share with you guys, it's a little bit of a, well, I've talked about this before, it's a little bit of a secret, but anyway, we're just going to talk about it. I think it's going to blow you away. So anyway, what I'm going to be doing here is, as you guys know, Bitcoin tends to play out in these cycles. You can this indicator here, the rainbow wave indicator, kind of beautifully maps it out. It tends to also correlate with time frames, sort of halving time frames, and then generally year ends. Those are kind of like the big key frames that you actually want to be looking at. So anyway, I still think we're going to go to $200,000 US. But what my strategy is going to be is I'm accumulating fiat through trading through my businesses. I have, my YouTube channel, I make some money from that as well, of course. And then I have other businesses to the side. Yes, I have actual businesses. I'm not just doing this full-time. Actually, it's just kind of like a part-time thing that I'm doing here on YouTube. But I have actually business. Any money that I make, the strategy, what's going to come out of that is, as you guys can see here with MicroStrategy, is that it had this massive move to the upside last cycle. It's a Bitcoin strategy company. They leverage against the Bitcoin holdings. And what you see is that when the bear market basically commence is the stock completely goes to the downside, and the company is not actually able to afford any Bitcoin anymore. And the stock dumps because it's a leverage, and so the company gets in a loss, and it kind of goes back to the downside. It readjusts to the value, and you can see that like the MicroStrategy company literally went down to almost like its pre-Bitcoin buying levels, and then it had this massive move to the upside. It's up like, I don't know, like 200% from the peak at 25x from the peak, and I'm not even like lining from the exact bottom. If I do from the exact bottom, like you go, it's like a 40x. But what I think it's probably still going to go up, and I think it's probably going to double in valuation, and that's going to be like a 50x in terms of gains. So I'm going to be basically doing the same thing. What I'm going to be doing is if the Bitcoin price goes to 200K, I'm going to just sell like a little bit of Bitcoin, but I'm looking to buy in the bear market, and what I'm going to be buying is MetaPlanet, which is like a secondary MicroStrategy, but they're currently buying above the all-time high. And you see that there's a lot of Bitcoin strategy companies, and they're all buying above the all-time high. What I think is going to happen is that a lot of these companies are going to go very, very low. Like the stock is going to absolutely crash. And so I'm kind of putting, in a sense, a long position. It's kind of like you're almost putting like a leverage position on the Bitcoin price, and you're kind of buying these stocks. Of course, I will have to check out the actual balance sheet and how they lend and et cetera, et cetera. But I'm looking to buy these Bitcoin strategy companies because you're basically buying Bitcoin, but you're basically buying at a much lower level in the bear market. And so you seem that the volatility that you get on Bitcoin, it kind of get amplified in a sense. And so while I find the Bitcoin cycles quite reliable, I can use this strategy to kind of amplify my holdings. So if I put, for example, let's say $500,000 into MicroStrategy, it would do about a 50x. And so what I think is very reasonable is that because MetaPlanet is kind of recent, I think it's going to dump very, very hard. And I think it's going to have the same kind of amplification as MicroStrategy this cycle, even though that the Bitcoin price is not going to go and reach the same level as this cycle in terms of gains, because you generally see diminishing returns. What I'm going to be looking at is I'm going to be looking still at buy MetaPlanet. I'm expect about a 50x. So if I put in $1 million, that's going to be like 50 million in like 5 years in profits, basically. So that is going to be a little bit of my strategy, basically, in terms of like accumulating Bitcoin. I'm just going to get as much fiat as possible, buy in the bear market, and then that's going to be like a 50x gain, I think. And if I just buy Bitcoin, like we'll probably go to 60K to $500,000, will be about 8x. But buying MetaPlanet, you're going to amplify gains to like 50x. So that's going to be kind of the goal that I have, which is why I trade Bitcoin. I try to get more money. I make some videos, have businesses. I try to, I try to get as much fiat as possible. I'm not looking to buy right now. Now, if something does happen and we do go to like $1 million this cycle, like a super cycle, I still have Bitcoin from the previous cycles, so I'm still fine. So I have pretty good risk to reward. Only risk is that if Bitcoin goes to zero, but I think the strategy is pretty solid. So anyway, that's going to be the strategy. And as you guys know, I will continue to trade on these platforms, leverage trading, go in long positions throughout the whole cycle, throughout this whole bull market, catch the bottoms and try to make more money. That's just going to be the strategy. So if you want to go along, tag along on the journey, just subscribe to the channel, and I will keep you guys updated on this strategy. Again, if you want to support the channel and you want to get a 50% deposit bonus, just check out here the link in the description. Just get signed up and get this 50% deposit bonus. Anyway, that's going to be the end of the video. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below, and hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.